Hey photographers, tired of spending ages masking skies, mountains, and foregrounds manually? In this video, I'll show you how to use Lightroom's new AI-powered landscape masking tool to instantly enhance your photos, even if you're brand new to editing. Let's dive in. Adobe now uses artificial intelligence to detect elements in your landscape photos, like sky, mountains, architecture, vegetation, water, artificial ground, and natural ground. This AI landscape masking selects and creates a precise mask for each of them automatically. No more tedious brushing or radial filters. Before we go into how this works, I just wanted to let you know that this feature is in Lightroom Classic, like you see on the screen right now. It is also available in Lightroom Desktop, like you see on the screen now. It is also available here in Photoshop in Adobe Camera Raw. I'm in Lightroom Classic right now, and I'm in the development module, and I have my landscape image open, and I'm going to come over here to the masking icon, click on that. Here is the new landscape masking. Click on that. And this photo here is partially a real photo, but there are some AI generated elements in here just so I can show you this feature here. So the mountains were AI generated, so was this water, and so was this house right here. These are all the attributes that you have available for landscape. There are 7 of them, and you can have the sky, and you can see the overlay as each one of them is checked or hovered over. Architecture for buildings or house. You have vegetation, there's a little bit of water. There is artificial ground for this road right here, and natural ground for everything else. And you're going to see that there are some instances where the masks overlap. You'll see that the overlays overlap, and that is common sometimes. And to take care of that, we're just going to subtract masks like we have been using masking before, but this will take care of the overlapping problem. You'll see. Now I want to switch to a photo that I took that doesn't have any AI generated elements in it. And it's this one right here. This is a nice view of the mountains back there in Hawaii. So I'm going to click on the landscape mask. It's detecting the landscape features, and it auto detected all these elements right here. So you can create a separate mask for each attribute or a combination of masks. And I'm going to select all of them. And I have clicked here, create 5 separate masks. And I'm going to say create mask. Let's start off with the mask of the sky. As soon as you click on the adjustments, the mask overlay goes away. Let's darken it just a little bit. Maybe add a little contrast, add a little blue to it. There's a lot we can do there. Now, if you want to see how the sky looked before the adjustment, you have these eyes right here next to the mask. There's the before and there's the after. For all the mask, you can see how it looked before with this eye on the top back here where it says masks, and it will turn all the masks on and off so you can see the before and after. Let's go down to the mountains. Our mountains look pretty hazy. Looks nice there, but for purposes of this tutorial, let's add some dehaze here. A lot of times with texture, I like to change that and the clarity for mountains. Add a little bit more green on there, and this is what the mask looks like of the mountain before and after. There's the sky and the mountains. So we're going to work on vegetation, and all we want to see is the overlay over the vegetation, not over the mountains or the natural ground. So what we can do is click on subtract, select landscape, click on mountains, say create mask. So now you see it's off the mountains. You can do it again, say subtract, select landscape, and now click on natural ground, create mask. So now it looks a lot better. We've got the vegetation selected. I'm just going to move the exposure here just a little bit, bring it up, decrease the shadows, and let's make this a little bit greener. And so now we've taken care of isolating just the vegetation. Now we can go down to the water. Could add a little bit of blue to it. Let's see what any saturation does. Not too much, but that's okay. Take down the exposure just a tiny bit. And a lot of this is subjective to what your tastes are. We've isolated the water now. There is before, and there's the after. Here's all the masks so far, before and after. And now we have natural ground to deal with. So natural ground has the mountain selected, and so we need to subtract the mountain mask. I'm on natural ground. I'll hit subtract, select landscape, mountains, and create a mask. So now we just have the natural ground. You can see the red overlay. Bring up the exposure just a little bit just to see that that is what is being affected. So here is the before, and here's the after. It's great to be able to select separate areas in a landscape photo to edit. For this example, we're going to use Lightroom Desktop. So over here is your masking icon. Click on that. Click on landscape. It's detecting the landscape. In this one, we have sky, mountains, architecture, and natural ground. Notice that the natural ground includes the mountain back there that has all the trees and bushes and everything. There isn't too much natural ground that you can see here in the image, but we're going to isolate that anyway so you see how we do it. We're going to select the sky, mountains, architecture, natural ground, and create 4 separate masks and say create. Let's go for the sky first. Some contrast there. Highlights are okay. Add a little bit of dehaze. And color, will add a little bit more blue in there. And we'll darken it a little bit too. Next, let's go for the mountains. Let's reduce some of those shadows. And you can use the point color if you want to add some saturation to that color. A little bit of dehaze there in the mountains. Okay, let's go for the architecture now. Take down the exposure just a little bit. There's detail like this. I like to change the texture a little bit and the clarity. And now let's go to natural ground. And so this is our opportunity to subtract the mountains. Go to landscape and subtract mountains. And you can see the small overlay right here. That's the only natural ground that you can actually see. Everything else is mountains or architecture. But that's how you would isolate, by subtracting the mountains mask. And there's the before and the after. So some slight changes. There's another way to refine your mask. You can say subtract and say click on the brush. And now you can brush away these areas right here where you see the overlay. I'll make sure my flow is up there, and you can brush away any area that you don't want. So this is in addition to subtracting a complete mask. You don't want changing the natural ground to affect areas up here in the image. So that's how you would remove any areas that were introduced by other masks overlapping. What's good about this new AI landscaping mask is that it's not only good for landscapes, but cityscapes. I mean, we have architecture that we can choose as an option, and we can choose vegetation. So that could be in a city, that could be near the ocean. So in this example here, we'll choose a sky, architecture, and vegetation, and create 3 separate masks. And I'll say create mask. Click on the sky and darken it a little bit, add some saturation, and that looks good. I'll click on architecture. You see all the buildings are selected. You see the red overlay, and darken them just a little bit and add some texture and a little bit of clarity. Let's go to the vegetation. Now the vegetation is pretty good, except for there's some things right here on the wire that Lightroom thinks is part of the vegetation, but it's just something hanging down. Looks like some stars, some decorations. And then on the top of these buildings right here, you see red overlay. Well, this is a good spot for subtracting the brush. Make sure my flow is up. And I'm going to paint away the areas right here that I don't want affected in this change to the vegetation, because it's not vegetation. Windows here, top of this building, there was some overlay right there, and top of the building up here. So I think that looks pretty good. We can make this a little bit brighter, see how our shadows go. Okay, we can use our color point and click on the green right here, add more saturation to that color. And here is the before. And here's the after. We successfully selected separate areas in a landscape, or in this case, a cityscape, and masked certain areas that we wanted to change. Okay, in this example, we have palm trees, ocean, a sidewalk, parking lot. I'm going to click on the masking icon, click on landscape, select the sky, vegetation, water, artificial ground, and natural ground. I'm going to create 5 separate masks. Click create mask, the sky, darken it a little bit, add some contrast. Sometimes some clarity works good. And we'll go for this right now. Water, these are point color. Click on that, increase the saturation. Vegetation. Now here we have trees and we have the ground selected, or the natural ground. So what we can do for the trees, since we just want those, is we can subtract. We'll click on subtract, select landscape, and click on natural ground and create a mask. So now we just have the trees. Notice at the bottom of these trees, the overlay is not covering the bottom of these trees. So what you could do is click on add, click on the brush, and paint in the bottom of these trees right here so that they are included in your masking. Let's make the palm trees a little bit greener there. The artificial ground is the parking lot and the sidewalk. I'll just touch that so that you can see the effect or the adjustment. Won't do too much with that. And then we have the natural ground, which is the grass. But now you can see that these rocks right here are included in the natural ground. So what you can do is click on subtract and click on the brush and brush away the overlay so that the rocks are not included in the natural ground, which is the grass in this case, or what we want as natural ground, just the grass. And we can get a color green here, and there's the saturation. We made the whole grass area a little bit greener. So here is the before, and here is the after. Before, after. So why is this a big deal? Before this AI feature, landscape editing took a lot more time and patience. Now, even beginners can get pro-level results fast. If you're working with multiple photos, this is a huge time saver. And that's it. Lightroom's AI masking makes landscape editing faster and easier than ever. If this helped, give the video a like and subscribe for more Lightroom and photo editing tips. Got questions or want to see more AI tools in action? Drop a comment below. Remember, it's never too late to learn. Thanks for watching.